Good day, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the show. Are you a Nazi? And how do you know are you a Nazi? But don't worry, if you don't know the answer to that, we're here to help you to discern if you're a Nazi. And we'll learn this from other people that we are possibly facilitating your Nazi education. So if you're listening to the show, most likely you are being groomed by us, according to the far-left neo-Nazi think tanks, that you are going to become a Nazi. So don't take my word for it. This has been quite this information has been out for quite a bit. The domestic terrorism, of all the right-wingers. And right-wingers are the people like Christians, people that go to church, people that follow traditional family values, people that don't want to send you money to Ukraine, people that don't want, or the simple things like LGBTQ education in their schools, or drag queen reading hours in the kids' libraries, etc., etc. If you're one of those people, you probably are a Nazi. Not according to us here at Alex Sass Show, definitely not according to me, Alex, and Glenn Herring, but for sure according to some left groups. Don't take my word for it. Let's listen to, what's her name, Maria?
Now, this first on Fox
Yes.
Business, a bombshell new report reveals the Biden administration is using taxpayer money to wage a covert war on conservatives and Christian groups. The Media Research Center, a conservative watchdog group, obtaining documents showing DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is using a program meant to fight terrorists, which includes groups like the Heritage Foundation, MAGA, Fox News, even the Republican National Committee in the same category as Nazis. Joining me right now is media.
Yeah, that's Glenn. Where does that put us in that pyramid? Level one, the bottom, the foundation of this pyramid would be, and I have the thing right here, diagram right here. It will be things like the Heritage Foundation, Fox News, DNC, National Rifle Association, American Conservative Union Foundation.
If you look closely, you can see also the Alex Sass Show. It's there. I see it, obviously.
But that would be the second level. That would be the second level. We're above Fox News and all that.
Well, yeah, they had wrote it up downward, not left right. You see, it went up into the next category, the next phase level there. Obviously, Biden, who works for the globalists, that's one of the fights, is trying to maintain their power. So a lot of this money that's being printed is going to push the globalist agenda against the real new world order that's been manifesting for a while. You can see the world atlas is being redrawn, and a lot of this power in the Anglo-American system is being redistributed to the east.
Well, to the east, I agree actually. So, and there's a Eastern District of New York court. We're going to go into that in just 1 second. This is a really interesting story regarding your freedom of speech. But let's stick to the pyramid. Apparently, Biden administration actually donated money. The Department of Homeland Security doled out more than $350,000 to university program that plays the Republican Party and mainstream conservative groups on the pyramid of far-right radicalization alongside militant neo-Nazis, according to documents obtained by conservative media watchdog. So basically, Biden administration paid for the study, and we always tell you, when you read somebody's study and you're going to quote a study as your argumentative fact, who paid for it and for what purpose? It goes back to follow the money, right? So if we follow the money here, and it goes back to Biden, of course, they're going to promote their agendas, and they've been saying for a long time that you all guys are radicals because you don't think like crazy people. That makes you a terrorist. So according to Biden and the Justins and van der Leyen's and whoever, the leaders of the free thinking world, which is Western democracy, and we're going to show you that it's not anymore in this episode. You may be considered a Nazi, and your bank account will be froze. And if you don't have any gold or silver, you crap out of luck. Glenn, how much do you know about Douglass Mackey?
Whatever you're going to show me right now. That's all I know about Mr. Douglass Mackey.
So here's what I'm showing you. So social media influencer Douglass Mackey convicted of election interference in 2016 presidential race. So it took him almost 10 years to convict him. He's a young guy. I don't know how old he really is. I think he was at the time in his 20s. He's probably older now. But he's been convicted, and he faces up to 10 years in prison for his political speech and cartoons. And this is directly from justice.gov, which is United States Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of New York. And here's this statement. McKay has been found guilty by a jury of peers of attempting or to deprive individuals from exercising the sacred right to vote for the candidate of their choice in 2016 presidential election. Stated United States Attorney Peace. Today's verdict proves that the defendant's fraudulent actions crossed the line into criminality and flatly rejected his cynical attempt to use the constitutional right of free speech as a shield for his scheme to subvert the ballot box and suppress the vote. So basically, he put out some posts and send out some messages, and that's now he's a criminal. He's a thought criminal.
Happening in many countries in the world, by the way.
But the point is, it's happening here where we're protecting Western democracy and we're spreading it to places like Ukraine and Israel and whatever other places we're sending weapons to kill innocent people. But here in the United States specifically, we have this going on. Here's not the problem I have. I don't have a problem with the, George Soros sponsored district attorneys in New York. What I have a problem with, as far as to my knowledge, I haven't heard any single member of either house, Republicans or Democrats, protesting this or voicing their opinion against this. Not a single person stood up in defense on Douglass Mackey. And we always say they're the birds or the wings of the same bird, the left, right, conservative, liberal, Democrat, what I call it, Democrat, Republican, whatever it is. It's the same bird. Glenn, you didn't hear this story, right? It's not out there.
Nope.
And we know they're also going after President Donald Trump for the same reasons. I also didn't hear Trump say anything about that. Not that I know. Maybe he did.
Going after Trump, this is a freak show. That's all distractionary from what's really going on. As though all the problems in America right now, all the things that ail you, is Trump's fault. And when it's not Trump's fault, it's Putin's fault. And when it's not Putin's fault, it's Hamas's fault. So this is just, it's rampant. You were talking about free speech. In the Western culture, one of the European countries, Italy, which is a bigger financial country, an anti-mafia writer was fined €1,000 just for insulting the Italian prime minister. So you
Maloney.
Yeah, you can't even say what you want. You're going to be fined for it. Where is protecting democracy and free speech? Where is it? It's being evaporated.
Well, it's being evaporated everywhere, and not just in North America. Well, I don't know if you've seen this article, brothers and sisters, but Elon Musk slams EU over Newsguard association. What a scam, he says. So, formerly Twitter owner Elon Musk, now X, has slammed the European Union over its work with Newsguard. Those are like a fact-check organization in Europe, an organization that is a significant component of the global internet censorship. They call it what it is. They call it internet censorship industry, calling the organization a scam that ought to be disbanded, right? So you cannot, the information nowadays, because of the internet, you cannot suppress it. Okay, so even if you have implementing things like Google and Google now redirecting and only showing you the information, and specifically here in Canada, you can only see what the Canadian government wants you to see. You can still find a way through applications like Telegram and X and all that stuff. But Ellen, for your peripheral vision, Jimmy Wales advises Newsguard, that's the Mike Benz on Twitter, which is knee deep in a plot to get government to bankrupt alternative news. And that's true. They're trying to do this here with us. Well, not the Newsguard, but Canadian government themselves trying to shadow ban us for talking about the news because, we are not a news organization. Newsguard worked with EU on the new disinformation code. Its BIS model has disinformation compliance services with censorship law it promotes. Glenn, that's the modern day book burning. And even if you don't like the information, like, okay, I'm not against the LGBTQ books in the library, not a kid's library or like a bookstore and everything else. If it's available for sale, it's your choice if you want to buy it or not, right? I don't agree with promoting certain things that they do, but I also am not going to burn those books. I'll leave it up to a man to make a decision if he actually wants to read this book or not, and for whatever reason, right?
Free speech is not free. So I don't know who these media platforms think they are to say what is real news, what is fake news, what is free speech and what is harmful speech or hate speech.
Well, it's really simple. It's if it doesn't doesn't coexist with your agenda, then it's a banned speech. Perfect example. Israel moves closer to blocking Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is a Qatari network, and and they call it a propaganda, and that's the network that encourages violence. And oftentimes, we actually do quote a little bit of things here from Al Jazeera, and we show you different articles and videos that they post on that network, and that's one of the sources of information that you can receive and discern from that. You don't have to buy anything that comes from RT or CNN or Fox News or Al Jazeera or Tel Aviv Post or Israeli Post, whatever it is. Receive it as information, know where it's coming from, who's paying for it, what's the agenda. There'll probably be some information there that you can deduce and then apply it to your discernment and figure out things for yourself without taking 100% of whatever opinion they're trying to persuade you with, right? Have you ever read Al Jazeera, Glenn? Will you be mad if Al Jazeera banned by Israel or blocked by Israel?
Well, I'm sure there are a lot of propaganda news outlets coming out of Israel. I mean, look closer to home here in Canada and in America, you see there's a lot of propaganda news networks. So, if you believe everything, you'll stand for nothing. And that's the problem. People don't want to take the time to try and find the truth. No. They just you have to believe in something. That's what they say. And that's the easy way out. Listen, as a man, if you are always looking and the belief that life is supposed to be easy, then maybe you shouldn't have been born a man.
Well, speaking of being born a man, that's a good segue, Glenn. You got right on top. Here in Canada, we have a Bill C4, so anything we have anything to do actually could be criminalized. And I'm not going to quote the Bill C4 right now, but if you speak up against transition of the children and some of the acts done by the transgender community of Canada, it considered hate speech and a criminal act. But here on the show, we showed many times, actually, through articles and things that are happening, that oftentimes anything to do with sex trafficking, even minor sex trafficking, children's sex trafficking, somehow the LGBTQ community is involved. And again, this is not me throwing and saying all gays are bad and all gays are pedophiles. I'm not saying that at all. in this instance, there has been okay. So I'll read you the article. Queer teacher couple busted in prostitution sting investigation. So if you're watching this and you're seeing the picture on this on your screen, it's descriptive enough. I don't know how would you describe those people, Glenn, but a pair of queer, I don't even like that word, Tennessee elementary school teachers. If you knew, if you brought your child to school and
Nope.
it's your teachers.
Nope.
No, right?
Nope.
Right away. Right
No, it's
away.
that's not an education system. It's an indoctrination system. It's a changing the child's perception of reality. This is their reality, and sorry, but that's a little bit off. That's all it is. It's off. That's just, look, you can be all that you want to be, but not when you're a teacher. Just be a teacher.
Yeah, so like security guard has a security uniform for a reason, and that identifies them as an authority in that place. So, right, the teacher should have some kind of conservative uniform as well. Security guard in a security place cannot look like that because you will not take them seriously. How can I take this person seriously in the place of school?
Exactly. Here, I have another thing for you for the viewers right now. Now, I identify as invisible. Therefore, I'm transparent. Now you see me? Now you don't. You know how ridiculous things are becoming, and men are allowing this? Really, guys? Really? This is how far we've fallen as men? You're supposed to lead in society. You call that leadership?
Okay, so going back to the article, Glenn, you made me laugh. Thank you. A pair of queer Tennessee elementary school teachers were busted for prostitution in undercover investigation, complaining they would starve without the extra income. So, of course, what they knew best is sex education, and they went straight into that. And, without going into details, again, going back to the same thing, if you brought your child to the school and you saw those two as your teachers, would you still keep your child in the school? I would make everything possible, either remove those teachers from the classroom or transfer the kid, or the good candidate from homeschooling, really.
Looking at the picture of Frick and Frack here, it just brought up something, in another country called Switzerland, okay? Swiss groups hail 60-day sentence for man who called a journalist fat lesbian. Okay, you go to jail for 60 days just for saying something like that, because that's a hate speech. Now, what he should have said was, I think you're a fat lesbian. Oh, now it's not a hate speech because you're allowed to say what you think. It's not directed at them. It's directed what you think about them. Here's how you protect yourself about the idiocracy that's going on today.
But it's ridiculous because there's no freedom in that speech either, right? So you have to watch every word you say now, not just for the fear of being canceled and become a part of the hashtag movement of any sort. Well, brothers and sisters, here on this show, we're not afraid. This is not hate speech.
Nope.
And YouTube, if you classify this as a hate speech, you are the hater, not us. Here, we refer to everybody, brothers and sisters, and we respect your choices. We don't have to accept your choices. We don't even have to like them. But we respect them because they are your choices, if they're conscious choices. Just don't make those choices for me or my kids. And that's when we may have a conflict, which hopefully we can resolve in a peaceful manner. And I always promote peaceful resolution for all conflicts, including Israeli-Palestinian conflict. However, in this case, we're not the only ones, Glenn. There's, J.K. Rowling's. She's the creator of Harry Potter series, and she's a big proponent against the transgender movement. She's the original feminist, right? J.K. Rowling says she'd happily go to prison to fight against gender pronoun speech control laws. Bring on the court case. That's what she said. Right?
Yeah, it's swinging the opposite way. There's kudos to her for standing up for what she believes is right. Sarah Huckabee, the governor of Arkansas, just signed a bill. No more wokeism in government. In other words, positions of government, no they, them, no more of that. That's it. You know, it takes a woman actually to do a man's job. She's standing up for what is right.
So she did this. By the way, brothers and sisters, if you put like your pronouns on your resume when you're looking for a job, that's a red flag for the employee right away. If you think you're walking in step with the modern organization, well, unless I guess if you want to get a job in the university and be part of the propaganda machine, if you want to get a job in some of the legacy media propaganda machines, maybe you should put the pronouns on your resume. That I recommend. But if you're looking for actually job in the actual business, in the business of making money, that's the first red flag, because they know right away you're probably not a good team member. You're always going to be looking for the things that are wrong in the team. Like, how come there are no unisex bathrooms? How come, I don't know, how come there is no extra days off for the man? Because, because man may have a man period days in a month too. How come man cannot take, paternity leaves or whatever? Yeah, I don't know, whatever the new feminism movement stands for. What is it, the fourth wave now? Fourth wave of feminism, Glenn? Or is it
I would say the fourth wave of feminism is men who've been emasculated. Okay, the women have got to the highest level they can. They're feminazis. Some. Okay, that's what I want to tell the people. Some, but just look at them. You could always tell what level they're at by the level of unhappiness they're at.
Okay, look at the screen, Glenn. Is this the fourth wave of the feminism? Okay, brothers and sisters, if you're just listening on Spotify and other channels, so this is the picture of a man dressed as a woman. Apparently, he identifies as one, probably transgender-identified biological male. Football coach, has made an Australian magazine list charting hot 100 women of the world for the second year in a row. He's number 92. Okay. A personal experience from talking to some people. There's a lot of dating websites, right? Nowadays, like I don't know the names of them.
They're not working. People don't know how to date anymore.
Well, it's also sort of like a bit ridiculous in the sense that it's sort of like a marketplace. So it's like you feel like you're putting yourself like a vegetable for sale on some Amazon distribution website. But at the same time, a man have to be careful swiping left or right or however it works, because with all the Photoshops and all the makeups and all the hair, some men could be made look somewhat attractive and even look like women, attractive women in some pictures. And you'll be surprised how many of the trans men on those websites are looking to date other men. So it is now a part of the Western world, this whole thing. And I think the movements like this, agendas like this, where they put men. By the way, this is the reason why I brought up this story. If I saw a picture of this person on a dating website, I would know right away it's a man, in no way classified as a woman in any stretch of imagination. And here, Glenn, I'm going to be scrolling down this thing, and if you look at the pictures of this person, this is ridiculous to the face, and there's nothing feminine about this person, especially pictures like this. Glenn, this person looks like he can bench press a lot. And
there you go. Sweet. You know, what's inside shows up outside. So when you're mixed up, it's going to show, right? And these people, that's the reason why a lot of people who transgender, men who they're actually just gay men, but they want to take it a step further. So they want to transgender into females, which they think that they can do, okay? And it's just a bunch of horrible stuff done to these people. This is why after it's all done, they realize just how unhappy they are. They think that there's no way out. And the suicide rates for transgenders is off the charts.
It is, and there's a lot of regret stories, and we played some of them here. And like after 15 minutes meeting with the doctor, he recommended me a sex change operation. So I had my breast cut off, and I spent almost $500,000 trying to be something I'm not. And that's why it leads to things like suicide. Here, I'm going to round this up with a different story. I think I always bring this up. Not I think, I know. I bring this up always here, Glenn, that this is the whole transgender thing is part of the transhumanism movement in general. They make us feel more comfortable and accepting of people identifying as chairs, because it's leading to the world where we'll put microchips in people's and make them bionic, and that's Elon Musk's already working on this technology. They already approved human trials.
Can only do this by wimpifying the average man. And you see it in real time when you see headlines like, man calls 911 over bad Tim Hortons iced cappuccino. Really?
I would. Why not?
That's a big thing for this guy, Or millennials and Gen Zs, they're struggling with mounting climate fears. Like, this is a struggle. This is why so many people are on ADHD and anti-anxiety and depression drugs. Their little things are coming along when the reality of when you look at the whole world, these are little obstacles, but they're over-dramatizing it to get attention, to feel a part. Look, this is what resonates within me. This is such a big thing. Just like the transgender thing. A normal student will look at somebody else getting all the accolades and everybody's giving them attention and maybe even making money off it. So then you create the Me Too movement. Me Too, like I want that too. I want attention. And of course, when you're a younger person, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for attention to give yourself more validation in the world, to single yourself out as being something that's different. But in actuality, you're just following the agenda that's put forth in front of you.
And those are valid points, Glenn. But again, the hard times will let you know what the real problems are in the world, and people are going to quickly forget about all the transgender movements once they are hungry. And
another one, I was reading the other day that dads, new dads, right? In other words, the wife or the woman just had a child. Mm-hmm. Okay, should be screened for postpartum depression. Like as though they the man should be screened for postpartum depression because the wife just had a baby. Now he's affected. Now you see what's going on. Like the weakening of the man.
I know there's
ridiculous.
Definitely the weakening of the man happens since childhood. And a friend, Suzanne, she was talking about how a woman, a mother, plays a big role in upbringing of the man. You cannot remove the man, the husband, the father from that. But the man has a role, or the woman has a role to play as well, right? She has the nurturing side, then she has the loving side, and all this other stuff. And presumably, the father teaches a man love through things like discipline, accountability, hard work, etc. The issue that I see in this world now, and we're going to close the episode with this, is the economy is crushing, and it's crushing for different reasons. And one of the reasons is we're actually going through industrial revolution of sort. I don't know, it's the fourth, fifth, or whatever the industrial revolution that we're going through in the recent years, and it's AI driven industrial revolution. And things like even like European telecom giant Nokia is letting go of 14,000 people, citing that the earnings plunged 69%. Now, they don't really go over details why the earnings plunged, but we can guess that probably has something to do with AI technologies where jobs are being replaced. Now, the thing is, because we are so electronically involved right now, and everybody has a device in their hand, they have a device on their wrist in form of a watch, laptop, tablet. We're surrounded by smart speakers, smart homes, etc., etc. And inevitably, we're also moving into things like smart cities, 15-minute cities, and smart cars, electric cars. And one of the pieces of that puzzle is digital currency. Now, the powers to be, Glenn, powers to be, tell us, oh, don't worry, just because we're bringing digital currency, you're still going to have cash. Let's listen to this. I'm not making this up.
The digital euro is on the move. Yesterday, the Governing Council of the ECB approved the opening of the preparation phase. It will be a journey, and we will walk the journey together with the legislator.
Woke the journey?
All European institutions will be involved to make sure that Europe is equipped with the currency of the future. Cash is here to stay. You will have all options, cash and digital cash. So what does it mean for you?
Well, you already have digital cash when you have your banking application on your phone or smart device. A lot of people already go using their phones as the debit cards and all that stuff. Credit cards. What is the difference between the digital currency of the future and the system that we're already using, Glenn?
Be wary of what my man here, Chris Lagarde, talks about, okay, people? Because this is a globalist puppet. That was the head of the euro. She is the head of the euro. She was the head of the IMF. He was. Well, I'm floating, because we went from talking about transgender to weakening the men over to digital currencies here with Christopher Lagarde explaining everything. So I don't know. It's been a real circle of jerk on this show, and there's so many things to talk about. I just want to end on one thing. For myself, I'd like to say this to the men. Don't wish for life to be easier. Wish that you were better. In other words, stronger.
Wow. And on this note, I'm going to close with that. Don't wish for someone to love you. Find someone to love, right? And including yourself. And on this note, brothers and sisters, there's been another great show here at the Glenn Zone with Glenn Herring and Alex Sass, and we'll see you on the next one. Glenn, we make a community worse for everyone.